Hi there, it's Richard, Brook, Acupuncture and Yoga teacher here. So it's been a while since I've last done a blog. But I've just come from New York. I'm now in Philadelphia, so have a quick look round. So I'm in somewhere by Constitution Centre, maybe in Philadelphia. And I've just come from New York earlier. And I'm also in a privileged place that before that I spent about 5 weeks in Portugal at a retreat centre. And it's always interesting when you move from one environment to another really quickly to see the contrast in experience. You know, sometimes we just become a bit acclimatised and used to our environment. We don't always notice so much of what's going on. So to go from one extreme to the other, from being in a place of such natural beauty and natural abundance, and then straight to New York, straight away, you know, certain things became really apparent to me. I thought they were quite useful to share. And also interestingly, since I come to Philadelphia, maybe because the pace of this place is slightly lessened, my mindset has actually shifted again. So when I was in New York, it was like, whoa, this is so different to Portugal where I was at the retreat centre. And now I've got to Philly, the kind of pace has dropped again a little bit. So I suppose I feel like this is somewhere a little bit more in between the two. Still very urban, but not as much of a contrast to certainly New York. So first thing I noticed when I got to New York, having come from a place of such natural, abundant energy. So wherever you are, where I was in Portugal, at the retreat centre, you know, it's full of nature essentially. You know, I was in a bit of a valley, a big reservoir nearby, lots of natural energy, you know, natural life force coming from the plants around me. Yeah, an essential abundance. So everything in nature, you know, has got pranic quality, a quality of chi, a quality of energy, and natural matter has got an energy signature, if you like, that's familiar to your body. So you tend to feel really relaxed when you're in nature. That's the first thing. Whereas obviously going into a city, it's full of electromagnetic energy, which is a little bit more foreign to the body, can be a little bit more difficult for your body to deal with. So I've come from this place of massive abundance. And the other thing is that all natural matter, or especially air actually, is full of ion particles, which are negatively charged when they're healthy ones. But when you get into a city, those ion particles tend to become positively charged when they get bound onto with pollutants. So straight away I've come from this ion-rich, very little electromagnetic energy environment, full of abundant life force, and into a city. And straight away I noticed like I was no longer getting fed from the environment around me. So sometimes we forget that similarly to how all the cells within our body interact with each other, so it's the same, that we are one cell that's within, as a body, we are one cell that's also within a bigger body, which is the world around us, I guess, you know, and the environment around us. And when I was in Portugal at the retreat, I felt like my energy field and my energy was being fed from what was around me. It was palpable, tangible. Because as soon as I got to New York, I felt very separate from the environment around me, like I was no longer having energy feeding into me to make me feel abundant. So I felt cut off straight away from some source of resources. And I tend to think that leads us then to trying to seek substitutes for that deficiency straight away. So maybe it puts a bit more emphasis on what we eat. So I think, you know, I tend to go for food which is highly energizing or highly calorific in order to make up for that deficiency straight away. So there was that tendency. And I also noticed how, you know, just looking at people, I think the other thing, when you're not getting much energy from the environment around you, you've got to find other ways of getting that energy. I think one of the big ways people get energy in a city is from one another. I mean, you know, it's like survival of the fittest, you know, dog eat dog, the rat race as they call it. And it's because your currency of survival is energy, which quite often we can get through business. You know, people seeking energy from other people through interaction maybe. And I could see, looking in people's eyes and just looking at them, you know, cities are very fiery places, a place where you've got to have a certain amount of fire. It's all about what's coming next. You know, you've got to find some way of feeding yourself. So it's what's coming next, what's the next big thing to get excited about. You know, where am I going to find my place, what am I going to do? And it's this essential necessity to get on that is created almost from being in a city climate without that natural abundance and resource around you that naturally feeds you. It creates this clamour in order to survive. And I think the other aspect of that then is also when you're in nature, on a very, probably on a more subconscious level, you also realise that you can survive without money when you're in nature. You know, you might have to brush up on a few of your skills, but there's always this sense maybe that nature around you will support you. You know, the plant growth around you, vegetable, fruit, wherever you are, is in abundance. So there's some sense that that's a currency of survival, it's a resource. Now when you're in a city, there's no actual resource generally unless you've got money. Money is ultimately what sustains you, because without that you can't get the resources, the food, you know, basically in order to survive. So again, it creates this kind of sense of essential, not desperation I guess, but necessity to earn money. So again, it puts into the forefront of the mind this need to earn, you know, to collect, to not necessarily greed either, you know, but it's just without that currency of survival you're going to be in big trouble, whereas when you're in nature you haven't really got that. And so again, I was looking at people and I was just seeing this sense of fire that was going on, you know, this people all needing something, chattering about, like I said, the next big thing that's going on. And I also think it probably brushes off in people in terms of the interactions with each other. It's a slightly offbeat story here, a little bit off on a tangent. But I remember a friend of mine who was telling me about one of his friends who lives in New York. He went out on 5 dates in 5 days, and actually slept with the person he went on a date with each night. Now he might be some kind of Lothario, but I doubt it. I think it's probably more that, again, when you are in a city, you're looking for things to provide you with energy, probably from male to female, you know. And so there's this fire, there's this desire to connect in order to get energized from it that we're all seeking for all the time. And again, I couldn't, you know, yeah, just such a contrast to where I've been out in Portugal. So there you go, folks, a few observations about my time in between Portugal and New York. And yeah, hope to speak to you again soon sometime. Thanks a lot, bye bye.